So today we welcome to the program Joe Salvucci, Quincy Public School teacher, to chat a little bit about what that is like during this pandemic, but also about a special project to honor the late Rich Keneally. So Joe, nice to see you again.
Thank you so much for having me, Joe. I really appreciate this opportunity.
Yeah, this is a great way to get kind of, I guess, a little behind the scenes feel for what it's like to teach remotely, during a pandemic, but also for some positive news about what's going on in the Quincy Public Schools. So first of all, let folks know who you are, where you teach, and what you teach.
Totally. I'm Joe Salvucci. I am a Quincy Public Schools band director. I teach 3 elementary schools, Bernazzani, Parker, and Squantum. And I also teach Atlantic Middle School, which is where I am right now. This is actually my classroom. This is actually exactly what kids see as we are doing our remote learning. So the band program is fully remote. So like I said, this is pretty much what the kids are seeing. So it's been great. I can't say enough about the safety in this building in Atlantic. Like, I come in, I've never hesitated with anything. I do know, like, obviously people have other situations than me, with, people who are high risk at home and stuff, but I haven't questioned it. Eliza Schneller here at Atlantic Middle School has done a great job of keeping the school feel safe, and I'm happy. I got my classroom set up. I got all my instruments here, so it's been really great. I'm very happy that I'm able to teach from school. My 2 3-year-olds and my newborn wouldn't get off my leg if I was at home, so this is the way I got to do it.
So it's a win-win for everyone.
Yeah, not my wife though.
How do you teach band remotely, Joe? I mean, how does that work?
So I'll tell you, this was right before COVID. I met with one of the band directors from Braintree, this guy Dave Buckley that I studied with. It was actually not just before COVID, just into it. And when we were teaching, he had been doing the live in-person ones when Quincy was just basically we were posting videos and instructionals. But he said, you know what, Joe? It's so important that the kids are enjoying the experience, because right now for us in Quincy, it's all about retention. Like, we don't want kids to come into our class and be quitting because it's not the same experience or it's not what they thought they were going to be. So as far as like the in-class playing, I really don't think it's too much different. I am sometimes teaching to a couple letters on the screen if the kids don't have their faces, but I can hear them. Sometimes I'll mute everybody and I'll say 1, 2, ready, go. Which is kind of insane, but that's getting them all playing, and it's keeping it moving, Joe. Honestly, like, okay, Susie, your turn, unmute. And then she plays, and the kids are sitting there, and you're getting a lot of that downtime. I'll check in with the kids, but I'm not like going through and letting each kid have like a couple minutes. That's so boring for those other guys. So I think my classes have been pretty interactive, especially the elementary schools. Got to keep them moving. Okay, maybe they missed a note in hot cross buns. Are they having fun? Are they playing the whole time? Are they laughing? I think that's what's most important. And I think that's the goal of our team right now, is to, keep retention and keep them happy.
Yeah. So how has attendance been? Would you say, that the kids have pretty much got a hang of it by now?
Well, definitely my elementary school kids are on it. I give the classroom teachers a lot of credit too. They've been super supportive, like posting my schedule on their feeds, and obviously I will post the band schedule on the feeds every morning. But, Joe, if you're an elementary school band kid and you have Ned, the Nutcracker, hello, Joe, teaching the Nutcracker theme, they're all in. They love it. They're just keeping it interactive, and they're so into it. I hope they look forward to coming to the band, their band class on a week-to-week basis. So
yeah. So there is no in-person band class right now.
No, the only in-person stuff that happened was the marching band up the high school. They were doing the after school. They were doing live marching band. Out of the 130 kids, I think they had over 60% of those kids that opted into live in-person instruction. But at the high school, the band classes, they're hybrid, so they do have some kids in the building. But yeah. Elementary and middle school is full remote band right now.
Okay. And is that for the foreseeable future, do you think?
I think right now it is. Obviously, the leadership teams and the school committee and superintendent and our department head, Mike DeMarco, like I trust those guys with those decisions. They know what's best. And I think that the band program right now that I'm teaching is going great. I'm having a blast. I think the kids are getting something out of it. And do I think it's sustainable, long term? I think we all know the answer to that. Yeah. We all want those kids back in the classrooms. But right now, I mean, I believe that what I'm doing is having an impact on these kids and their musical experience.
So is band an elective, Joe, or is it a requirement?
At elementary and middle school, they're electing to come to my class. It's a pullout, so they're leaving their academic classroom and coming to band for half an hour.
Gotcha.
At the middle school, it will go with the blocks, so it's a little bit longer. I think it's like 15 minutes for the middle school blocks, and then at the high school, it's a class. So at the high school, it's a little bit different. They're choosing band. That would be considered an elective, actually. Yep. But that class is happening, with all their other classes.
Yep. So, we've seen some of these virtual performances with orchestras and choral groups where you have like 100, 200 people on the screen all performing at once. Have you done anything like that?
So here's me teaching my saxophone class.
Okay.
And then this was one of the virtual performances that we did. This is with my Atlantic guys. And I'll tell you, this was the first one of these editing performances that I did.
Yep.
That's a lot of work. Timing that up so that it sounds good and having faith in a middle school kid to have good timing, that was a fun challenge. But I think they loved it. And when you put that out, we did a Veterans Day performance with my elementary school. We did This Land Is Your Land. And then with the middle school guys, we did the Field Artillery March, also known as the Caisson March, with those guys. So it was great, and we were able to get that together. It was a good practice run for everybody, and then we're going to try to do something for our winter performances as well.
Oh, okay. We'll look forward to that.
Absolutely.
Curious, what have the band parents said to you about how this is going?
The band boosters are still really up and running. I just attended one of their meetings the other night. There was a ton of people there, still a ton of support. It was on Zoom. So I encourage anybody that wants to go check it out. It's really easy. They send the links out. They just uploaded their lesson scholarship to all online now. So that's one of the big things that are out right now. Anybody who is in the band program and wants to apply for a lesson scholarship, they'll actually give you money towards private lessons on your instrument, which is a really amazing opportunity for these kids to kind of, up their game on their instrument. And they're talking about some different ideas for fundraising. So, COVID's not stopping them from, advocating and supporting our program by any means.
That's great. Speaking of instruments, do all the kids have their own, or did they sometimes have to get some from the schools?
So the school instruments, so any instrument, maybe like a tuba or, if it's a euphonium or French horn, a school-owned instrument, at the beginning of the year, we did set those up for pickup. Okay. But most of the kids took them home. I actually remember on that Friday, I think it was March 13th, on that Friday before school went out, I sent out a blast on my remind messaging. I said, come get your instruments, because you didn't know. I had heard a couple rumors, and I said, everybody come get your instrument. Joe, that saved me so many headaches. I got so lucky that I did that. Yeah. But there was a couple students that did have to come get them inevitably at the beginning of this year. But most of the students have their own instruments, school-owned ones we got out. And if they were renting, they're still renting and using them,
Yeah. And I would think too, when school was completely shut down, no, nothing, that they had those with them was a bit of a comfort, at least, or something to pass the time.
You'd like to think they were practicing. You'd like to think they were practicing. That's what I tell myself every night.
Well, you mentioned earlier that you want them to be playing and having fun and enjoying it, and that's just what your predecessor, Rich Keneally, stressed all the time. He never really pressured these kids. He just wanted them to enjoy the experience.
He never really even said practice. He always said play. And that's a great philosophy to have. You're not practicing. You're not sitting down and grinding out things. You're playing. You're enjoying that process. And Rich, nobody ever said it better than Rich.
Yeah. How has that been for you? That's a tremendous legacy to try and, I won't say fill, but at least continue.
No, certainly not. Those shoes are not fillable. I think of Rich actually pretty much every day when I drive to Atlantic, because when his very short retirement, when he was retired, I drive down Quincy Shore Drive along the beach there, and I used to see him walking, and there were a couple like hard bang-ins that I turned and parked, and I would check the time. I'd be like, all right, I'll go walk with Rich for a minute and, just hang out with him and talk music and just see how he was doing. And yeah, so I think of him a lot. I have some pictures of us over on the wall, on my wall of fame over there, and it's just a huge loss for, the city of Quincy. Not just the music program, the city of Quincy, everything. CE touched so many people's lives, and I do find myself thinking about Rich, and sometimes I would have a stressful moment, and he was my first phone call, because he could always just talk you out of it and be like, "What are you worried about, Joe? Like it's all good." He was always that easing he was always there to ease your mind, I should say.
Yeah, he really was able to put things in perspective, and prioritize tremendous loss for both he and his wife. So tragic within months of each other from the pandemic.
It is so sad. It was such. I feel so bad for that family. His daughters were so strong, and they're proactive and keeping their mom and dad's name alive and well.
So tell me about the K project, if you will.
So the K project is going to be pretty cool, and I'm not by any means heading the K project, but I'd love to advocate on behalf for Tom Doucette, who is the drama teacher up at Quincy High School. The K project is basically a way to have some closure, for Mr. Keneally. So many people that were mourning losses these days, they really haven't been able to properly, have closure. And I think that there were so many of his students and mentors, friends, family that, him and Cece didn't get the right send off. So the K project is going to be a huge collaboration where they are looking for stories about Rich and Cece to make a production, whether it becomes an on-stage theatrical performance or a documentary setting. It is a project in the works. I think what we're trying to do is we're trying to get a feeler of who would be interested in sharing stories with us, so that we can kind of share the memory of Rich. One of my coolest memories is on Tuesday, March 10th, right before COVID. Him and Vinnie Guarino were over my house, and we were playing all my tunes, man. Joe, I'll tell you, Rich brought his flute. He had his scally cap on. He had his alto. He was just shredding, and we were playing a bunch of my songs. What an incredible memory. If you ever knew what that would mean in that moment, I probably wouldn't have even been able to play. He was over my house March 10th. Wow. Shut down March 13th. I mean, the guy was a legend, and the fact that he played that day with me is so special. I'll never forget that. Never. My whole life, I'll never forget that.
Did you happen to record that at all?
So there are recordings. I have a couple recordings. I've shared them with Vinny, and there's been a bunch of people that have asked for them. We're trying to get them to the daughters. You'd think for a music teacher I'd be able to boop these recordings out, but when you just hit buzz on your phone, it's not always the best quality. But I do have 2 recordings from that night that are pretty legendary. He's on his flute too. The guy retires and he starts taking flute lessons. He's amazing. He is amazing. So
inspiration for sure. And I have a feeling that the K project is going to bring a lot of past students.
I think that Gmail on that flyer is probably going to be flooded within a couple of weeks.
Yep, Quincy High Drama Club at gmail.com, right?
Yes, please share all those stories. We can't wait to hear from you guys.
Any sense, Joe, for when this might be starting to come together?
Yeah, I mean, I think that he's looking to accumulate stories right now, and I really do think that he's looking to have this as a end of spring production, like end of the year production. That was the vibe that I got from him. He's got some incredible ideas. Tom Doucette is so talented. He is just a huge asset to that Quincy High School drama program. I think he's gonna knock this out of the park.
I'm sure we're all hoping for a little bit of normalcy by then, to be able to have it in person rather than a virtual production, I think.
Oh, totally.
let's hope you get a lot of response from that for sure.
Absolutely.
Not only do you teach music, Joe, but you're the golf coach as well.
I do, and ready? We're gonna.
Yeah.
I planned for this.
As he steps into the phone booth and
I got and I even pulled out our all our gear.
very good.
Put my blue glasses away. Now I'm the golf coach. I was planned for that. Wow, what an unbelievable season. I mean, you're talking about kids that were incredibly devoted to overcome, some very unique circumstances like we've never done before. And I mean, they're 15 to 18-year-old boys. I mean, they did an awesome job. I mean, you give them an inch, they'll take a mile, so you got to stay on them. But they were so respectful. And, I had so many coaches come up to me saying, like, what a great job our kids did with, like, following the rules, honestly. That's all you got to do. Just follow the rules. Put the mask on. Keep your distance from each other when we're in the common areas. When you get out on the course, you're allowed to take the mask off and play, remaining social distance, of course. I mean, you're outside the golf course. It's very easy. But I had so many coaches that complimented us on that. So I was, pretty proud of my guys.
Yeah, that must make you feel good, I'm sure. I'm sure you passed that on to them as well.
Absolutely, and our senior captains, Joe Healy and Drew Peterson, those guys set a really good example. They weren't letting anybody get away with it. I told them, I was like, you see someone with a mask off, go tell them to put it on. Like, that's the deal. You know what I mean? We're lucky. We're so fortunate to be out here right now. And, this is the way that we have to do it,
Were you able to have a full season?
We had 5 less matches this year. So we did get 11 in. We went 2-9, and that was the varsity, and the JV went 1-6. But good trend into next year. Varsity and JV both won their last match. So we're streaking. Well, in the off season, we're streaking.
What was it like, coaching during a pandemic, coaching golf during a pandemic?
Honestly, you're out there, and you besides the mask, you absolutely feel a sense of normalcy. It was a shining moment for me, since it got shut down back in March. It really was, to be out there and to be interacting with the kids and not have to be on the screen. You're right there. I mean, I'm not like getting in and helping them like with their grip and like certain things that you're not doing that you might do in a normal year. But for the most part, you're playing, you're having your golf season. That's what you're doing, I gotta give a huge shout out, thank you to my JV coach, Mike Healy. He is the right-hand man in this program. These kids have so many more opportunities because of him. He took over the JV program last year, and to get these kids more matches has been huge for us. I mean, you're building a foundation, you're just because you're not on varsity, maybe you're not, able to go out and get those reps in. Mike's allowing these kids to go out. Every single kid in the program played in at least one match. I mean, that's pretty impressive considering some of the kids have never played golf before, Joe. They come out for the golf team. They've never played, so that's an amazing thing to get those kids out in matches. And between him and the support from Kevin Mahoney, the AD up at Quincy High School, helping us and keeping everybody in line, it was the best. Yeah. It was the best. It was so sad when it was over. Of course, I miss country club life after school. So,
did you have any road trip games?
Yes, we did, and the bus rides were great. All our bus drivers, Doug Edgerly pretty much took care of us on the buses. He did a great job getting us there. You crank the windows open on the ride, and you tell the kids on the ride home it's going to be cold. Wear the winter jacket, And I thought it was great. Everybody was very respectful. We never had any issues. Granted, the golf team only brings 8 guys and me. Okay. So you can spread that out pretty good on a bus. Yeah. Obviously, some of the other sports were probably a little bit more challenging or needed more buses, but for the most part, it was great for us.
Yeah. When does the spring season start, Joe?
The spring season, so the girls team, QNQ golf for the girls will start in the spring, and I don't know if they've set a date. They're probably waiting, just like everybody else, until it gets closer to make a decision on a start date,
Yep. I'm looking forward to it, though, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah. Get those girls out there swinging the sticks. They play mostly at President's, the QNQ girls team.
Okay. Does practice continue through the semester?
As far as like the off-season stuff, the kids are kind of on their own. My captains will probably have some get-togethers, but with COVID, you can't really be inside of the simulator right now. So, I think it was pretty nice out, this weekend. Maybe a couple of them got out there and swung the sticks, and it's always nice to check in with them. We're planning a virtual awards ceremony the beginning of December, and then we're hoping to have an in-person banquet in the spring to kind of like recap all our memories and laughs from the season, and give those kids a proper banquet would be the goal.
Yeah, nice, very good. Well, it sounds like you've really adjusted to the whole remote teaching, coaching aspect pretty well.
Yeah, I love it. I feel like we've moved from making the best of it to the best is yet to come, and it's not, you're not really thinking about what's happening anymore. You're doing it, and it's great. And I always tell the kids, there's a light at the end of the tunnel, because if there's no light, it's just a cave. And I'm not going in a cave, Joe. I'm not going to walk into a cave. It might be a long tunnel. It might be a little sketchy in there, but we're going to get out of it, and we're going to all be better because of it. And with that attitude, I believe I can, share that with the kids and, express that and keep them positive and keep your head up. Let's go. We gotta all get through this. So,
well, really, I mean, you're offering, a respite from all the doom and gloom with recreation, with art from the music. So, I mean, really, I'm sure that's something that these kids are looking forward to, rather than seeing it as another class.
I appreciate you saying that, and I do agree. It's an honor to be able to share music with these kids. This art form has so much emotion behind it. They can really, I hope that they can latch on and find some joy in playing music in the band program. And of course, joy out on the golf course. I mean, come on,
Yeah,
So,
people could argue that golf is a form of art too, depending on how you look at it.
well, it's so hard. It's so hard. Yeah, no, it certainly has a lot of similarities.
Yeah.
I'm very grateful for everything that Quincy has offered, these kids that I get to work with, and of course myself. So I feel very fortunate.
That's great. Well, is there anything else we should add right now, do you think, Joe?
I actually wouldn't mind putting on one more hat if I
Go right
could.
ahead. Yeah, he's a man of
So,
wears many
this
hats.
is I got to give a shout out to Dan O'Brien from the Quincy Rec, who gave me the coolest hat. I've never gotten more compliments on a hat, but in the spring we are going to look to do a Quincy Youth Golf program.
Really?
Furnace Brook is so supportive. Mike McBroom up there is a huge advocate for youth golf. His son plays high school golf right now, Patrick, at Whitman Hanson, and he's willing to do this incredible program. And what we're going to do is we're shooting for Tuesday mornings. It's going to be just like any other, Quincy youth sport, if you would.
Yeah.
We're going to try to shoot for a once-a-week league, and we're going to have kids that from 7 to 9, then 10 to 12, and then 13 to 15 that can actually sign up for a summer league for golf. We've never had anything like this before. We base those age brackets off what the drive, chip, and putt. If anybody's ever heard of that, it's like a national tournament. So these kids are going to have, if you don't have an uncle or an aunt or a mom or a dad or a grandfather, anybody in your family that plays, you can't play. You can't just go out. It's not that type of game. You need a supervised means for these kids to get into this game that is lifelong. If I can get a 7-year-old kid on Furnace Brook Golf Course once a week for the summer, when they come to the high school, they're going to know how to mark their ball. They're going to know where to stand. They're going to know how to tee it up. Things that I'm teaching high school kids. That's kind of crazy. So this opportunity for these kids that Furnace Brook is willing to, work with us is going to be a tremendous asset, for the city of Quincy, not just Quincy High School. North Quincy High School, of course, benefits. Bob Doyle over there has done a great job to grow that program. I'm a huge believer in this, and I think this is what's necessary to get the city of Quincy golf program on the map.
That is tremendous, and of course, the city is preparing to take control of Furnace Brook Golf Course and continue it. So this would be a free service then.
So what they'll do, just like, if they Quincy use soccer, they have like a user fee that they pay at the beginning, like a registration. And I mean, my goal is to have like, a 7 to 8 week program, and then have like a huge banquet at the end, give out the awards, get the trophies made. Man, I remember when I was doing leagues when I was a kid, and you get that trophy. It's like the best feeling. I mean, that is like, I just cannot wait to do that. I never did that for golf. I never did anything like that. Like, I just want to give that opportunity to these kids to go play with other kids their age that can't get into it otherwise.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited about this. Mike McBroom is going to, he's really going to help us out a lot up there. And I think it's going to be a game changer, Joe. I really do. I think this is big.
Now, do you need specialized golf equipment for a 7-year-old?
Yeah, of course. So USGA kids, they have all sorts of clubs. And actually, my 3-year-olds have a pretty nice set right now.
Okay.
So yeah, no, there's certainly gear that's age appropriate for the kids. And if kids don't have equipment for that league, they will need it. But you have to invest in that if they're going to get into it. So gear can get expensive. I think like a set of clubs for like a 7-year-old kid would probably range between like $75 and $100 for everything you need. So, I mean, that's not that bad, but I mean, it's an investment like anything. I mean, think about what hockey skates are.
Hockey is tremendous. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I think it's going to be a huge improvement for our programs, especially
Something else to
girls and boys, of course.
Okay.
Girls and boys, of course. My daughter is going to whoop my son's butt on the golf course. I can already tell.
Oh, pity the
whether it's mentally whipping him or whether it's scores, she's gonna kick his butt. I'm sure of it.
I mean, golf is as much a mental as a physical game. There's no.
Oh, totally, absolutely. I couldn't agree more.
Yeah, fun. That's something else to look forward to in the spring. We need things to look forward to for sure.
Absolutely. Yep. There is that light. I'll tell you, that light's at the end of the tunnel. I promise.
Joe, let's recap if we could one more time the K project for folks, just so we can let them know how they can respond.
Again, so the K Project is a Quincy High School drama production presented by Tom Doucette as a way to recap one of the greatest Quincy music teachers' career and life, as well as his wife, that we've ever seen. So please reach out and share stories, share your memories about Rich, the funny stories, the crazy stories, everything. We want to hear it all because we want to go through it all and find a way to present everything to everyone. And, whether we use everything in the production, we can share it all with the daughters and, have something to help us, give closure to one of the greatest music teachers I've ever known.
Who's going to play Rich?
I know it's maybe like a skit type, maybe give other kids chances to play it, but yeah, that's a good one. We'll have to talk to Mr. Doucette about that one.
Yeah, I think maybe a lot of people. It'd take a lot of people to film this.
Yeah, we'll have to have at least 10 to 12 kids on the Rich Keneally role.
Joe,
because we can't have just one. He plays so many instruments, you need at least 10.
It's exactly, you need a one-man band, really.
He was the one-man band.
Yeah, great to talk to you, Joe. I really appreciate it.
Oh, this is so great, and thank you for all you do for the city of Quincy and all this information. It's great. I love listening to the podcast on my way to work every morning. I think you do a great job, so thank you so much. Really appreciate the opportunity.
Appreciate that. You're very welcome. Reach out again if we can be of any help here. We'll be happy to do it. We'll catch up with you again as plans become finalized for the K project.
Thank you so much, Joe. Appreciate that.